a little bit more information has come out around how Leeds United managed to sign Ethan Ampadu on his extended contract, the sort of situation that led to that extension, and I think there's a lot of interesting information here, including the fact that Leeds have learned a very, very significant lesson that we previously missed very, very clearly, that caused a lot of damage to the club. So, I'm going to run through all of the information that Baron Cross sort of discussed in his article. You may have seen it, you may have not seen it, but I'm going to talk through absolutely everything anyway. What that lesson that Leeds United have learned is, and ultimately how it's going to benefit the club for the foreseeable future rather than just being a short-term benefit. But just before I get into that, if you've not subscribed, please do so. It's a button down here. It's very easy for you to click, costs nothing, and a lot of you haven't realised because like half of you aren't subscribed to the channel right now. Anyway, let's get going. So, first off, the general story of this is that Leeds United initially stated our intentions to sign him to an extended contract at the start of 2026, so like roughly January-ish, when we're a little bit above the relegation zone, hovering in the conversation but not having dropped in there. And the talks were led by, and a lot of people will be surprised by this because there's sort of like an ongoing propaganda campaign against him, but a lot of the talks were led by Adam Underwood because he is the director of football, does most of the transfer work, most of the contract work, and hell of a deal for him, to be fair. Managing to get Ethan Ampadu for another 4 years, which are going to be the biggest years of his career, is a fantastic move. Effectively, as Parag Marathe said in a interview recently, there is no intent for our core group to move on, which is absolutely massive, and securing Ethan Ampadu early was a significant part of this. Talks then proceeded to pick up when we were confirmed as being safe in the Premier League, which makes a lot of sense. It feels like early in that discussion period we would have gone, right, okay, Ethan, we want to sign you on a new contract. We think you might want to sign with us on a new contract. At that point he goes, yeah, probably, it would be quite nice. That's a horrible impression of Ethan Ampadu. I apologise, Ethan Ampadu. But he's going to want some form of assurance that he's going to be signing for a Premier League club. So waits a little bit. Leeds United are confirmed safe with the match between, was it West Ham and Arsenal that guaranteed that we were up? And at that point, talks picked up, talks sped up, and eventually his contract was fully signed on the 21st, on the 1st of June, which is fantastic. Nice quick turnaround. Molto bene. Fantastic stuff. This all came about whilst Leeds were expecting offers to come in, but both Leeds United and Ethan Ampadu were of the opinion that there's no real benefit to listening to those. He's happy at Leeds, we're happy with him at Leeds. Let's make sure that he sticks around at Leeds for a little bit longer. It was also mentioned that the redevelopment of both Elland Road and the surrounding area played a significant part of his thinking, which is absolutely brilliant. It feels like he's invested in the long-term future of the club, which isn't something that you get a lot with footballers nowadays. Like, it's very rare that someone will go into it thinking of any form of legacy beyond the personal side of things, which it's good to have someone that wants a sort of persistent future at a club. Very nice to see. And importantly, and this is the big lesson that I've said that Leeds United have learned, in the event that Leeds United are to be relegated, first of all, apparently relegation didn't even play a part in the conversation. That's how confident Ethan Ampadu is in Leeds United right now. But in the event that we get relegated, there is no release clause that defines that Leeds United need to let Ethan Ampadu go if we receive a bid of a set amount of money. Now, you might look at this and think, that's kind of fine, that's standard stuff. If you're a Premier League club, a lot of Premier League clubs don't include those relegation release clauses, and that's fair enough, because a lot of clubs don't do that, because a lot of clubs aren't necessarily in danger of relegation. However, for a club that's only been up for one season, alongside Sunderland also staying up, for a club that is potentially going to be in the same relegation conversation next year, because that's what happens. If you get promoted, you've got a 50% chance of coming right back down again. If you stay up for another season, you've got a 50% chance of coming down again that season. Only 25% of clubs manage a third season in the Premier League. That's where there's clearly a significant amount of confidence in us from Ethan Ampadu, but that's where the club have also shown that they've learned a very, very, very big lesson. Players, if they will come and sign a contract with Leeds United, at the moment we'll probably look for a release clause. But the fact that we've gone into things and said, no, we're not going to include one in this, it would have been easy for us to just say, yeah, sure, that's some guaranteed money in the case we go down. We've decided to not do that, which shows that we've learned the lesson of the last time we got relegated. Because if you have a look at the last time we got relegated, not only were they the release clauses, which, would be a problem, they were the loan clauses, which is a whole issue in and of itself. Have a look back at last summer. Parag Marathe had a little bit of a conversation with, I can't remember who, but it was someone in the media, and said that, sure, there's a couple of release clauses in our new signings last season. So Okafor maybe has one, Stack maybe has one, Goodmanson maybe has one. None of those are hugely confirmed, but they could be there. Some players have them. But they're not the loan ones, because he specifically said, look, we've not fallen. It might have been Robbie Cook, actually. Is it Robbie Cook or the other one? I don't know. Robbie Evans, that's the guy. Sorry. Said that Leeds United have not included those loan clauses. It's instead going to be fees that are going to be at least of a similar value to which we signed them, or more, which is a fantastic thing to have, because this means that it's not going to be a case of, like we've got with Jack Harrison still, and potentially Max Vober still, because he didn't play any pissing football last season, that we're going to be loaning players out for the rest of their contract because they're not good enough to keep us up, which means that other clubs are like, well, we'll loan them to take a look, and then end up not bothering signing them. That's always going to be an issue when you just have those loan clauses, which we've not bothered with, but we've taken it a step further. We've protected our assets beyond that, in the way that West Ham have with Mateus Fernandes right now. Several players at West Ham at the moment are going to be looking for an exit. Crescencio Somerville is, of course, going to be one of them. Mavropanos is another one of them. As is Mateus Fernandes. However, Mateus Fernandes does not have an exit clause from West Ham right now, and they are very happy with that fact. Because there's interest from Man United, there is interest from PSG, apparently. There's interest from various other clubs. And they're saying that, well, we paid about 30 odd million quid for him. We can sell him for a hell of a lot more than that. There's rumours of 70 million plus. Someone at one point mentioned 100 million euros. That isn't going to happen, let's be honest. But they can make a vast profit, and they can make that profit because they can force a bidding war, because they've not set a firm ceiling on that price. By having this lack of release clause for Ethan Ampadu, we've done the same thing. If we end up in trouble next season, there are going to be clubs in the Premier League that are looking for a top quality defensive midfielder. And in my opinion, that's what Ethan Ampadu is. And to be honest, the fact that we've not set that ceiling of what his price would be if we go down means that we've not only learned the lessons of the past, but we are properly looking into the future. And it's just another thing to put on the pile of the 49ers are quite good. And I'm very, very glad we've got them as our owners right now. I know they've made a couple of hiccups here and there. Like, not signing another attacker last summer. A lot of people have looked at that and gone, that was dreadful. In the end, turned out fine. Was a little bit of a misstep, probably. I absolutely agree. But at the same time, we're still in the Premier League. We're making the right contract decisions, and I 100% trust this ownership right now to make the right choices. And that's a weird place for a football fan to be in. But it's the place I'm in right now. And as always, that's just what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think in the comments down below as well. That'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're not yet. Pop a like on the video and all that kind of stuff. Become a channel member. Hope you enjoyed. And I will see you all later. Toodaloo, mi amigos.